Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So, that's what we do here on the KidLit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of KidLit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the KidLit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your KidLit loving host, and I'm here with a special bonus episode to celebrate a very special occasion. If you're listening on the day this episode goes live, then you're listening on International Dot Day, inspired by the book titled The Dot by Peter Reynolds. What began with one teacher in Iowa sharing the book has grown into a worldwide movement, inspiring over 29 million educators and students to make their mark in over 200 countries. For 15 years, the Dot and International Dot Day has empowered children and adults alike to make their mark, however small, and to believe in the ripple effect that even one dot, one act of creativity can create. And guess what? Peter Reynolds is here to celebrate with us today, and I cannot wait to welcome him. So we are going to do just that. Peter, welcome. I am so grateful and so excited and so honored that you are here today.
Stephanie, thank you. Thank you so much for connecting the dots on a very special day. This is one of my favorite days of the entire year. I get super, super excited the month leading up to it. And it seems like people are celebrating it more than just a day these days. A week long, sometimes a month long. And then some schools just kind of keep that dot rolling and it becomes a dot year. So
Yes.
but this is the official day.
It is. It's the official day, and it's 15 years of the official day, which is amazing.
Yes, I'm beginning to lose track myself. How many years? Yeah, it's been a while since Terry Shea, the amazing teacher in Iowa, came up with this. Well, actually, originally with a question. His kids, they had read the Dot book and they loved it, and he was sort of delving into the themes of the book, and as they were exploring it, they found the publication date, and it said publication date September 15th, 2003. So they said to Mr. Shea, "What is that the birthday of the book?" And so he said, "Well, don't ask me," right? He's a good, smart teacher. He said, "Let's ask the author." So they reached out to me, and I just thought that was a delightful way to think of a publication date. And so they had a party for the Dot, and they had Dot food and Dot. They made Dot paintings and Dot clothes, and they had a Dot gallery, and then of course they shared it on social media, and here we are 15 years later, 190 countries celebrating, and many, many, many dots. I think 32 million plus dots made so far. So it's pretty epic.
It is pretty epic. I would love to hear about your dot. So tell listeners, a bit of I imagine the Dot is one that all of our listeners know, but I would love to hear how you make your mark and how you started to make your mark in children's literature, which you've inspired all of those millions of people to find what their dot might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Gosh, that's a kind of a big question. I mean, of course, as soon as you said it, I was thinking like the dot, like Vashti makes this one little dot. So there's always a beginning of any story, right? And of course, the beginning of our stories always starts with being born. And I was I started as a little dot, and that dot split into two dots because I'm a twin. You know, I have a twin, and his name is Paul, and he shares my love of storytelling and teaching and sort of philosophy, hunting, and he's just a great friend, and you know the journey always gets easier when you find a really good friend. I happen to be born with my friend, and we love publishing. Even as kids, we had our own newspaper in third grade, and then we had a comic book company, and we had a film. We made films with our friends, and so we had a media company in middle school, junior high, and high school, and then we decided that's what we wanted to do, and we just kept uh, going for it. And then magical thing happened. Another dot came into my life, Sarah, my daughter, and she loves stories, and I would read to her as good parents should. But one day we had um, I'm trying to think. Well, we had read these books over and over again on the shelf, and she wanted a new story. And so I said, it occurred to me like, oh, I can actually tell her a story. I don't have to read a story. So I said, can I tell you a story? And her eyes lit up, and she's like, yes. And that was like a lightning bolt moment for me that, you know, books are containers for stories, right? So stories can be written down, but they can also come out of your imagination. And kids are so ready and so open for any kind of story. They are they just want to spend time with someone who loves them. And so if you let words spill out of your mouth, generally it makes sense. And you know what? It doesn't even need to make sense with kids. But I started telling her stories, and then I decided to start writing them down, and that really is what got me started.
And the rest is history, right?
And yeah, yeah.
So some of those titles, right? Some of the titles that have been especially important to me. First of all, I read Happy Dreamer every semester to my big adult undergraduate and graduate literate students.
Love
But books like Our Table,
it.
personal favorite, Say Something, The Word Collector, I Am Love, The Water Princess, When Things Aren't Going Right, Go Left, one of my newer favorites. We've got Judy Moody and Stink Moody. So many wonderful books that are lodged inside my reading heart, and therefore the reading hearts of all of the teachers and the students that I work with. And you have such beautiful themes that are wrapped inside those pages. And I think two of them that are really especially important for Dot Day are creativity and imagination. And I'd love for you to say a bit about how those books wind up in your books and how they're celebrated.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing my stories, especially with big people. Right. I like to remind people that I make picture books. I don't make children's books,
Right.
although a lot of times they're called children's books, and some picture books are very much geared towards children, which is great. I try to write my stories for humans, and no matter where they are on their journey. And in fact, I feel like adults who are super busy, they need these little gentle reminders, because I think some of really the best picture books, in my opinion, are the ones that leave you inspired, leave you thinking, leave, uh, cause you to um, uh, take some kind of action.
Yes.
Uh, and they just stick with you, right? As you said, right? They're in your heart.
Mhm.
And um, so busy adults, this is a good way to get these little bite-sized bits of wisdom. And um, I very early on, when I started getting into um, publishing, uh, shortly after I self-published my very first book, um, called The North Star. So the very first edition, Candlewick did republish that book. We did a brand new version of it, I think in 2006, something like that. But in 1997, I did my own version of that book. And that kind of got the ball rolling. And that's how I connected with Candlewick. And they had a series, actually, it was a manuscript. I didn't realize it would be a series, but they handed me the manuscript and they said, we really like your sensibilities. We're wondering if you like this story, we'd love you to illustrate. And the title was Judy Moody Was in a Mood, Not a Good Mood, a Bad Mood. And so I read through it and I decided, yes, this is my cup of tea. And in fact, it was in that very first book, Judy's teacher has the class do me posters. So you could, without necessarily using words, describe who you are using pictures and clippings from magazines and um, objects. And I just love that. I thought how lovely. There aren't as many opportunities as I think there should be in school for kids to answer what I think is one of the most important questions, which is, who are you?
Yeah.
Right. That's a really cool question. Who are you? And um, for me, uh, I know that self design is something that we need to do more of and be intentional about that. And what makes me sad is that early on, kids start to define themselves, not what they can do, but what they can't do.
Yeah.
And I met this little girl, first grader, who I had a drawing class and all the kids were drawing and this little girl's working away on her artwork. I went over to look at it and she covered it up. She wouldn't let me see it. And, I asked her what was wrong and she just looked at me very slowly, looked up from her paper and she said, I just can't draw, which broke my heart. And I thought, wow, she, she, I am sure she can, but she has decided she can't. And immediately I thought, well, I wonder who said something. And I thought it probably was a clumsy adult who said, oh, I can't draw. And like kids are sponges, so they probably heard that. And I decided I would write a story for her and any other kid. And as it turns out, adults, any human that is feeling low on confidence, a little shaky, who needs that little nudge to say, do you know what? Your mark is important. Your voice is important. Your idea is important. You are important. And you have to keep going. So I wrote The Dot, Ish, and Sky Color. That's a trilogy. I shared that with Candlewick over lunch. And they said, we'll buy all three. And so the Create trilogy was born. That was a name that I coined for the trilogy about creativity. So Dot, Ish, and Sky Color really are the cornerstone of my work. And then I just continued on exploring this idea of figuring out who are you and celebrate all the wonderful things that you can be. So I wrote a book called Be You, which is my handbook for amazing human beings. I am a little biased. I think that amazing human beings should be kind and thoughtful and care about each other and the environment. And so I weave in these themes in all of my books and books like The Word Collector, which encourages us to have a big vocabulary, but why? Right? So say something is the sequel-ish to that, which is once you've got your words, use them to change the world and make it a better place. And so my work continues. I have a new book coming out, a sequel to The Word Collector called The Gift of Words. That comes out in October. And I'll be doing a tour for that book. Right on the heels of International Dot Day, we've got many events. As I've been, early on we said it wasn't September 15th; it's September 15th ish. So you can kind of celebrate it whenever you want, and it's turned in, especially in the Boston area here, which is Dot Central, Dedham, which is my hometown. Which, by the way, everyone's invited to my hometown. We have a bookstore that we opened
Yeah.
22 years ago. So some of you probably have been to our bookstore, and if you haven't, you're invited. It's a magical place
Yeah.
with a coffee shop. And sometimes you might find me making coffee for you.
That would be a dream.
I'm a
So,
pretty good barista too.
oh,
Yeah.
you have so many books as you mentioned. I feel like they are like these little portable gifts for adults, for kids to stop, to think, to connect to themselves, to believe in themselves, to do good in the world, and really to just inspire us in some way from the pages. And I'm wondering what inspires you to keep doing this work for us and how you do it in such a beautiful way.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I get inspired by seeing what teachers do with my work, and parents too, but especially teachers who not only read the book, but we like to say activate the book. Uh,
Yeah.
you can really bring a book to life um, by rereading it, reading it with flair, turning it into a little play, um, asking questions, and then connecting the dots right to your own life and say, hey, have you ever felt that way?
Yes.
Um, and and how did you solve a problem like Vashti was having?
Mm-hmm.
And so activating the book, seeing all the activities that come from, I mean, Dot Day is amazing.
Yeah.
The number of activities, but with all of my books, there's usually something you can do after reading the book that extends that experience. And for me, that's amazing because I actually had wanted to go into teaching. I was a camp counselor in junior high and high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I really, really loved working with kids. And I thought, do you know what? This would be, I would, I want to be a teacher to make, to pay my bills in college. I was freelance illustrating, and I turned out to be pretty good. I was
Mm-hmm.
making money, and I thought, I'm like, well, I really like drawing and designing as well. So I ended up kind of flipping a coin. What I wish I had done early on, although it all worked out, I wish I had um, done the two majors. I should have done education and communication design media, but I chose the media communications at Fitchburg State University um, in Massachusetts, and had an amazing time. I loved it. And when I was doing freelance work, and one of the uh, freelance projects I was working on, as it turned out, was with a teacher. He was a teacher in Cambridge, Tom Snyder, who was working at the Shady Hill School in Cambridge, and he um, had written some programs, educational software programs, and he needed someone to do the graphics and the documentation. So the dots were connected. I ended up doing freelance for him, then was hired by him. So I hung out with this master teacher for 12 years.
Yeah.
And the company grew and grew and grew. Eventually sold to Scholastic, which is interesting because I took a left turn and started my own company called Fable Vision.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a multimedia design company in Boston. If you check out fablevision.com, you get to see our studios in Boston, which if I was designing a school, it would look a lot like Fable Vision Studios. And in fact, we replicated it here in my hometown of Dedham. Um, and we call it TLC Studios, Teaching, Learning, and Creativity.
Yeah.
So if you visit reynoldstlc.org, you will see this other chunk of my world, our world. I say our world because my twin brother is my sidekick. He keeps everything going and flowing, and we have an amazing team here. So again, if anybody's traveling through the Boston area, if you want to see Fable Vision or if you want to see TLC Studios is designed for teachers to come to hang out.
Wow.
And our goal is to recharge teachers and give them the TLC that they deserve, and teach them how to animate and storyboard. And I know you're a big fan of not only reading, but creating, right? Um, so so there are lots of opportunities to encourage people to be brave, and put themselves out there and go back into the classroom super inspired, um, and maybe with their own picture book.
Okay, so now I have two things. I need to go to the bookstore and have you make coffee, and then I need to go there.
Absolutely, we will paint together. I actually like that's one of my favorite activities. Is get I do um, uh, team painting where it's either with one other person. So I'll make a little drawing, then you make a drawing. So I'll say, make me a teacup, and then I'll make you a teacup, and then we trade, and then I get the watercolors out, and I add watercolor to your teacup, and you add watercolor to right, right,
Okay.
right to each other's teacups, and I have done this actually with you know 10, 20 people, where we take a sheet of paper and you make some kind of mark, and then 5 minutes later you pass it to your right, and you just have it go around until you get your original back,
Wow.
and you've got everyone else's marks on your paper, and it's very freeing,
Yeah.
and it's just fun to see these lovely creations that are the product of all of this energy. It's really fun. So we could do that too when you come visit.
We could do that too. And I love how that one activity really embraces so many of the themes that come out in your book. It's imagination, it's creativity, but it's also the connection and the community and that bigger purpose coming together.
Right, right. Yeah, community is really important, and I think that's one of the reasons why the bookshop um, was not an accident. Even though when I tell the story of how it came to be, it was kind of an accident how we started it. Um, but the now that we have it with the coffee shop, the the sense of belonging and having a safe place to hang out. And people who come to bookstores generally are very nice people.
Yeah.
And so they they come and they gather, and all of these new friends are made, and it's just a lovely, lovely space. It's been really very helpful for Paul and myself and the team. We go over and we have coffee in the morning there. And we've been through some challenges these past years with COVID. Um, and then current conditions have been, things are tough out there, and that's actually one of the reasons I do love Dot Day, is that there's this burst of energy and color and positivity, and that we were actually on Good Morning America yesterday, and the news that day, just all sorts of news that not pleasant news, and we were even wondering, are they even going to air? Will there be enough time to show this piece about the dot and the International Dot Day and all the wonderful things teachers are doing around the world? And fortunately, it aired, and that felt good that we could put that out into the world.
Yeah.
That we can create light in the world that needs it right now.
And we do need that energy right now for sure. Now, thinking about that, do you have any recommendations for listeners who are either listening right on Dot Day or who are listening on Dot Day-ish
Mm-hmm.
to celebrate in their own way? What would you love to see them do?
Well, I share whatever you're doing. Definitely share. If you use the hashtag International Day, I know it's long, but it's a great way for us to um, find you. And if you have whatever it is, if you've created a bulletin board, or your kids have dressed up as dots, if and we see these wonderful activities that are done that just um, it lifts our hearts, it lifts our spirits. So definitely share, share, share. And if folks are listening and it's not exactly Dot Day, right? Dot Day-ish. If you're listening in, any month, I would say that, right, every day should be Dot Day. But you could go to internationalday.org, and you can download the educator guide. And that is a compilation of ideas from teachers around the world. And that gets updated every single year. So it's worth registering. I know some people, um, I talked to a school and they're like, oh, do we have to register every year? And I'm like, you don't have to, but um, it's you get updated materials, so you can go to say, and it's all free. That's the lovely thing too. It's all free.
Well, my preferred act of creativity is something in my notebook, whether it's stickers or washi tape or markers,
Mhm.
writing. And listeners can't see this, but you can. This is my pencil case.
Oh my
They
goodness,
have a dot day pencil case, and it's filled with my most favorite gel pens and highlighters and Sharpies.
I love it. I love it. That's actually interesting because we were just at the Institute for Contemporary Art in Boston this past Sunday, and the activity was for parents and kids to paint their pencil case. So everyone got a canvas pencil case, and they decorated with colors. And what I loved about that is that if you have a pencil case, you kind of want to put something in. It's like a piggy bank, right? It kind of is only half done until you put the coins in. So
Right.
pencil case, get those pencils in there, and carry it around with you, and get ready to make your mark whenever the inspiration hits you. Which for me, like hang out in restaurants, or in cafes,
Yeah.
that's kind of my sweet spot. I like the noise and the buzz of other people being around. Some people like to be in their barn in Vermont, in a cabin someplace in the woods. I love people. I love that energy.
Yeah.
So I carry my pencils around with me all the time. And I do want to encourage adults, if you are listening, dot day is not for kids, it's for everybody. So
Right.
make a dot. In fact, the lovely thing about the dot is that anyone can make a dot, even adults who say they can't draw, which, by the way, I want people to be kinder to themselves. And if you really have to say something about your uh, confidence level with art, you could say, "I'm artistically challenged." That's the polite way to say it. But better yet is like, do you know what? Yeah, I can make a dot,
Yeah.
and it's just. And in fact, I think you would like this. I don't know if you've seen this. This is something I did with Abrams. It's called Start with a Dot. For your folks at home, I'm holding the book. This is a guided journal. Start with a dot, a journal for making your mark. And so I do. I've sort of got. I have inspirational um, words in here, but I have spaces for you and little prompts, and you can sort of turn my dots into your own little creations. So um, there's also start with a word, which is the sequel. So I'm about words as well. I love art, um, and words, and animation, anything that gets whatever's tucked inside of your heart, in your head, in your dreams, pin it down and share it in some creative way. Could be a song, it could be a poster, it could be um, a photograph. There's so many ways of making your mark,
Yeah. And that's truly what makes life feel good and
right?
feel like better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they make great gifts too, right? Your marks.
Yes.
People, they stress out, during the holidays, trying, what
Mhm.
am I? Oh, I gotta go shopping. It's like, no, you don't. Stay home.
Yeah.
Pull out the paints. Create stationery. That's actually I've done that for friends. I've actually created stationery, and I just take bits of paper and I just write the person's name up the top with a quick little drawing. Next page, quick little drawing with their name and address, and it's each one is every page is handmade, and that makes a really pretty cool gift, and it inspires people to write,
Yes.
which that's my other. I'll have to do a book about writing letters, because that
Yes.
is an endangered um,
Agree.
art form, uh, letter writing.
I agree. You talking about that just brought up one of my most treasured childhood memories was sitting on a Saturday morning while my dad was at work and I had a blank piece, a blank notebook, the one where you tore it off on the top. And I don't know how long I did it, but I wrote at the top, Brian's notebook, Brian's notebook, Brian's notebook, except like 6-year-old me said Brain's notebook. brain notebook. And it was such a treasured notebook and a
That's so cute. That's
you just brought that back. Oh,
great. That's a title. That sounds like a good title for a book.
yeah.
Brain book. You know,
Yeah,
if a brain had a journal, what would the brain,
that's right.
right? Um, but yeah, my brain is always is like I it's like popping popcorn in my head.
Yeah.
I'm in conversations like this. In fact, I illustrate conversations. Like as you speak, I turn what you're saying in,
Wow.
into images and film in my head, and that's how I come up with stories. They appear as a film first
Yeah.
because I see this little girl in my head, and she's sitting in a chair, and she's frustrated, and then I the film just happens, and then I jot down um, what I see, which turns into a little storyboard. And that's really how I write my stories. I don't sit there, with a page saying, "Okay, I'm going to write a manuscript." I know that a lot of times, courses teach you to do it that way. Which, by the way, sometimes that a method might work, and but if it's not working, try something else. Do it your own way. There's actually no rules to this. You can just, um, yeah, do it your own way, which includes, just speaking, like storytelling is a wonderful thing with kids, and get the recorder out and record what you're saying to your kids,
Yes.
which is something
Yeah.
I recommended when people are stuck. And I say, do you know what? Stop writing your story, find some kids and just tell them a story. Just make up something and
Mhm.
just come up with something like, just something wacky. It's like, okay, it's a bear who's running a laundromat. It doesn't, right? Some story is going to come to your head. And then, but record yourself reading it to kids, or telling that story and making it up as on the fly, because you're going to find out that uh, you're pretty eloquent, right? Around kids,
Yeah.
there's something that magical. I mean, not everybody is great with kids, but um, people who are writing for kids, I'm hoping they love hanging out with kids. But kids are just lovely. They really can just pull the magic out of you. I know my book Ish happened um, from hanging out with third graders up in Maine. I was in this classroom, and these kids we're going to make fables, and I talked about fables and Aesop and how uh, animals can be great characters. Everyone draw an animal, and everyone's drawing away, and this kid was drawing this tiger, and it was the coolest tiger. And I thought, I got to tell him this is awesome. I got busy for a minute. I turned around and I see this kid, and he's erasing his tiger. And I ran over to him, like, "What are you doing? What's the matter?" He's like, "Oh, it's supposed to be a tiger. It doesn't look like one." And I'm like, "It's tigerish." And he looked at me with this smile, and he's like, "Tigerish?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's got like tiger energy." And I realized at that moment, like, that worked. And that was not planned. That just kind of spilled out because I was trying to get that child to understand, um, right, that it didn't have to be perfect.
Right.
And that ish word popped out. The kids gathered around me, and they were kind of all excited to show me their art. And they were like, "Oh, monkey-ish and snake-ish and jungle-ish." And I'm like, wow, that, that worked.
That's a thing. Oh,
Those those kids got it.
yeah.
So yeah, hang out with kids. They're brilliant, and they will give you gifts like that. Your job is just to hear them, and jot them down before we forget. I always say, Ray, please do not forget your brilliant ideas.
Yes.
I think we humans we're good at having them. We're not so good at remembering them. So
Yeah.
that's why we write things down, right?
That's right. That's right. And starting with something small like the dot makes it doable for every single one of us to start.
Right, right. Just one little, even just a word on the back of an envelope. If it helps you remember
Yeah.
the idea, that then you've done your work for the day. Um, so yeah, I have journals filled with lots of little my dots, my ideas, seeds for new stories. I think I've counted. Um, I think I have at least 400 um,
Wow.
pretty well formed little seeds that just need a little time and some watering. So
Oh my
got
goodness.
my work cut out for me. So,
Well,
but I
come find me if Brain's notebook goes somewhere. You got
Brains no, exactly, exactly. Um, but I was going to say that I do love collaborating, and if you look at
yes.
the bulk of my work, because I think they're coming up on 100 books with my name on them, uh, and 80% are collaborations. So and I I actually like collaborating with myself, but uh, I really like helping other people tell their story. So I'm going to get to meet one of my collaborators very soon, because he's coming to Boston. Yusef Cat Stevens. He wrote a lovely song over 50 years ago called Peace Train, and I highly recommend teachers playing that with their, well, for themselves, but also for their kids. It's a lovely song, imagining this world where this wonderful magical train, a peace train, is going along and people are joining, and you're all moving in the same direction, right, towards this peaceful place. And even if it gets hard, that we just press on, and we just know that there's this destination out there, of a very good place. So I we collaborated during COVID. We did the Peace Train book, and we are just finishing up a brand new book. Not too many people know this. If you want to sing out, sing out, which is a great song. Um, if you want to sing out, sing out, which is from the film Harold and Maude, and it's a lovely, lovely anthem. So check that out. So Yusef Cat Stevens coming to Boston to the Buck Center October the 6th. So I'm super excited because I'm going to finally get to meet him, because this week we collaborated just through Zoom over these years, but it'll be nice to be in person. But technology is cool, right? This is
Yeah.
how we're connecting because of technology,
That's
and you're sharing these ideas with the audience, which is wonderful. And I love that podcasts are so popular these days. Um, because I thought radio was was endangered, but it's apparently listening is still super powerful.
It is. It is. And hopefully today listening, whether it's dot day or dot day-ish, will just inspire listeners who I know love books and
Mhm.
love writing and love kids to make their mark in a new way. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This is like a dream come true for me with
Oh,
with my dot pencil pouch and talking to you about your books. I'm so grateful you took the time to come here to talk to us. Thank you so much.
Stephanie, thank you, thank you, thank you. Lovely to connect with you again, because our dots have been connected.
Right.
Actually, in many ways, every time you read one of my books, we are we're hanging out together.
That's right.
And I love that you loved happy that you share Happy Dreamer, especially with grown-ups. That story, by the way, if you want to get to know me better, read that book, because that was me growing up. I have a twin brother, Paul, who was very focused in school. He was a very diligent student. He did school really well. I was the amazing, delightful, happy dreamer with my head in the clouds and looking out the window. And, my window was a piece of paper, a blank sheet of paper. And I could see so many wonderful things. And it was so captivating. It just was a little bit of a struggle to pay attention in school. But in this book, Happy Dreamer, I try to remind, especially parents who might be stressing out, that, well, my kid is not, is not focusing and seems a bit scatterbrained. Um, I want them to realize they've got an amazing child in front of them. They have somebody with an amazing brain, and sit back, support them, and love them, and let them be themselves, and you will be absolutely delighted. And um, so, encourage your kids to be happy. Encourage them to be dreamers. So, Happy Dreamer. Um, that is definitely one of my faves. I'm glad it's yours. And you mentioned Our Table, which I am also a big
Love that.
fan of that one. And we had this little virtual table, which, by the way, anyone who is listening right now, I want you to imagine that you were at a table with Stephanie, myself, my twin brother Paul, and all the other listeners. Imagine how big that table is.
Yeah.
And we can imagine a feast on that table with some paper and some watercolor. How's that?
Oh, a perfect vision and a perfect way to end the episode. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's lovely.
Thank you. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of KidLit Love, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the KidLit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find KidLit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly KidLit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of KidLit Love. Thanks for listening.